Welcome to our interview on healthcare and poverty. Today, we are honored to speak with Mrs. Bermudez, a dedicated educator, and Dr. Carlos Garcia from the San Isidro Clinic. In this interview, we explore their experiences with poverty, what inspires them to help others, and how we can all work towards creating positive change in our communities. Let's listen to their powerful stories and insights. How does it feel to support students' health and well-being?
In my time as a teacher, I've seen people who are extremely well fed and everything is good and have homes and everything's wonderful. And I've had students who had to live on the streets and they come to school and sometimes because their parents are the drug addicts and so they're trying to take care of the little brothers and sisters, and they're still trying to come to school. Having to have food in my room all the time, not just like generically, but like because that may be the only place, or they're too embarrassed. Before they made it free lunch during the pandemic, there would be kids who would be too embarrassed to let people see that they needed lunch every day, like every meal every day. So that's been a big deal.
Can you describe a time when you felt you truly made a difference for a student facing challenges?
Mentioned about having a student who he was a senior, and people thought that I taught at Palomar High School, the continuation school, and people thought that he was like a bad kid, and like, why isn't he at school all the time? Why isn't he getting all of his homework done? And as we dug into it, we found out that that was a situation where he was down the street from Palomar High School. There was a huge Food for Less, and we found out that he had taken his little brother out of the house because the parents were like the drug addicts, and it wasn't safe at home. You guys, it wasn't safe at home, and the parents were like having other people come to the house. This is horrible to say, but having people come to the house and they would, in order to get money for drugs, they would give the little brother for sex to the adults, right? So what the bigger brother did, so like your ages, right? He would say, you know what, enough. And he took the little brother out of the house and was willing to live on the streets in poverty and not make it to school all the time. He was trying to work, trying to do everything he could to like feed his little brother and he still tried to make sure his little brother went to school. But they lived on top of the Food for Less at night. That's where they slept because it wasn't safe at home. So sometimes it could be stuff like that that's making it seem like, oh, and then it seems like the kid's not doing a good job. Oh, what a bum, he's not doing his work. We don't know sometimes.
Don't judge people for the choices they make when you have no idea what options they had to choose from. How does it feel to help people, especially those struggling with poverty, during some of the most vulnerable moments of their lives?
To you about that one mother, and I've had multiple patients like that, poor. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I pull $20 out of my wallet and say, here, help yourself. Because I just, I that have a lot now, and my kids grew up with everything, never suffered for anything. Now I see the patients when they come in and don't have the necessary resources for their children. You see their little shoes, their clothes all dirty, and it's not that they can't wash, but it's probably expensive to go wash them into the washrooms and all that. They don't have a washroom and dryer at home like I do. Exactly. So you sometimes you see that, it's like, that's the way it is.
That's your contribution to society.
Exactly.
Can you describe a moment when you truly felt like you made a difference?
Well, I've had multiple cases and patients who've come in, and sometimes, they were seen in the ER. They said, "Oh, just follow up with the doctor. It's nothing." And then I said, "No, it doesn't seem right." So we ended up doing tests, and lo and behold, little kid, no, you have leukemia. Send them to the hospital because they have leukemia. Another kid who came with a mass, just a little bump, and mother thought it was just a sore throat, but it hadn't gone away. We said, you know what? No, we did an ultrasound, cancer. Okay. Another kid who, high school kid, he was going to Eastlake here, thought he was a football injury because he was peeing a little bit of blood, but I said, but it's not going away. I said, no, kidney cancer.
Oh,
So
terrible.
luckily they were diagnosed and most of them recovered. One of my first patients didn't, okay? But most of them, yeah, they did, you know, and they're still now in college and they're doing reasonably well. So you don't cure everybody all the time, but when you do have those rare kids that you pick up, and only because you're persistent, you say, no, there's something else. Okay, it's not just a cold, it's not just a little lump, it's not just pain. No, we need to make sure that you exclude everything, okay? So that's when you kind of feel, I found something, okay? I don't want to find cancers and leukemias in every single patient, but you go in there listening to the mother when they complain, and the father when they complain about their child. They know their children better than I do. So for me to go in there 15 minutes and say, no, you have nothing, go home. No. You're not respecting them, and the parents truly know their children.
What is the most emotional patient story, especially involving someone impacted by poverty, that has stayed with you?
Well, as I mentioned, that one mother, and I have multiple mothers like that who've come in via bus just to get here. And it's like you say, wow, these patients, these people, poor people. I mean, they could easily try to go to a clinic or something more closer to them, but because they saw me when I used to do rounds at the hospital, they saw me at the hospital, I spoke Spanish, they had a connection with me because I'm Hispanic, and they wanted to continue with an Hispanic doctor. So a lot of times minority doctors are super important when I have of all different ethnicities, but I'm surprised that, you know, they still come here, as well as, you know, I have my upper class patients. Yes, I do have upper class patients, and I treat them just as I treat every single person that comes into this office the same. It does not matter to me who you are, what you are, where you come from, or anything like that.
For sure.
How do you handle the emotional challenges of your job?
A lot of times it's a lot of work, and you know, you wake up and you feel challenged about coming, but after a while it's like, oh my God, this is just too much. You get tired of it. And it's like, okay, but you keep going, you keep going. Like I said, just because I don't feel good, or I'm not, or I had a bad day the day before, or had problems at home, or financial issues going on, or things like that, it's not the person that my patients that coming in here, it's not their fault. I need to go in there and have a smile and treat them like a human being, and give them all the respect that they deserve, just like anybody else. So it's mostly just, you know, pushing yourself up and not giving up.
For sure.
Okay. As a pediatrician, seeing what the vibes that are coming out of the Congress and in terms of perhaps cuts in Medicare, Medi-Cal, Social Security, that's going to affect all of our lower income patients. Just like most of you have had insurances because your parents had it, or via Medi-Cal or something like that. If they start cutting that, some patients are going to say, well, I can't afford it. I can't afford this. And that's when you're going to start to see more patients in emergency rooms. So it's not fun to think of that. I mean, luckily the clinics like San Isidro and all that take low income or not. If you don't have money to pay, we will see you. We will continue to see you. And I have had in my experience here, even patients when they didn't have the money, I said, don't charge them. I will see them. Or they would pay the $75, and I said, no, give them back their money. Okay, because I said, you know, $75 is not going to make me richer or poorer. That's not what it's about. And I would literally not charge them to see. And you know, that's what we need to all do. We have to help each other along the way, depending on what happens with our resources, whether they get cut or not.
I respect that.
If you could send a message to the next generation, what would it be?
Becoming a healthcare worker via either nurse, medical assistant, PA, physician's assistant, nurse practitioner, doctor, it's work. Okay, it's not easy, and you need resilience. Okay, along the way, as you're growing up, you guys especially, you're gonna see people who tell you, nah, you're not gonna do it and all that, or the first time you fail an exam, you give up. No, that's not what this world is about. Is you have to fight, and if you have a goal, you have to keep pushing yourself, pushing yourself, pushing yourself. Even if you have to climb over one other wall, okay, that's one wall I climbed over. Another wall, okay, that's one. But you're gonna meet obstacles, okay? Even just applying to a university, or applying to med school, or applying to nursing school, or any of those healthcare careers, millions of people applying for the exact same position, and you have to be strong and have fortitude and never give up.
Yes, sir.
Because if you give up, it's like, it's kind of like I teach my parents. Sometimes they have kids that try out for sports and oh, no le gustó, or he didn't like it, so I let them quit. I said, no. If your child chose to play that sport, they have to complete it. Because the minute you start allowing your children to quit something, you're setting them up to continue to quit in life. And you can't do that.
Yes, sir.
Poverty and limited access to healthcare are challenges that affect millions. But change starts with awareness and action. As young people, we have the power to create a better future by educating ourselves, supporting our communities, and using our voices to demand justice. No action is too small. The fight against poverty begins with us. This has been Attack on Poverty by Anna L., Damian C., Miguel R., and Joel G. Thank you for watching.